Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here. For today, what can I say? We're closing up an incredible super day because we have on the show the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the legendary, the one and only, the unique Sian. Sian, how are you today?
Hello.
How's your whole day treating you?
Good. Yeah, today's kind of my day off, so I've just been relaxing. I went and saw a movie. It's just been a really nice chill day, so I'm
Sounds
excited to
good.
be here.
There you go. I mean, what better way to have an incredible day than to be chatting with someone as badass as you? You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
There you
Especially
go.
about things that I like.
I love it. Now, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, helps a lot. But also, on the description below, you're going to find all of Shan's social media. Let's follow her. Let's discover why she's super badass. Now, without further more, let's jump in. So I want to start this whole conversation by throwing out the first question, which is, what initially drew you to acting in the first place? Was there a specific moment or performance, perhaps, that solidified your passion for it?
I think most people, well, a lot of people that get into acting, they did through school, but my school never really had a drama program. We didn't have some sort of year-end musical or anything like that, which was kind of sad. But I think where the heart of where I love acting comes from is storytelling. And I think if I look back, way back into my childhood, I was at an Indigenous summer camp, and there was a sort of show and tell day where we invited all of our families, and everyone was assigned tasks, and I was assigned the task of storyteller. So I was given a story that is one of my favorite stories, and it was such a magical moment. I think it was something that a lot of kids would be afraid of, but in the moment it felt so right, and I was so excited and so proud to be able to share a story I love. And so I think that was definitely like the baseline of me being a storyteller for my life. And then I did an exchange in Quebec, and we went to New York, and I saw a Broadway show, and that was it. I knew exactly what I needed to do with my life.
I love it. Epic start. It's so interesting, right? That sometimes it just takes one little thing to discover kind of your reason to be in this world. You know what I mean? Like your path, you know? So,
It is, yeah. I originally was going to be a makeup artist before then, and then leading up to that moment, I had a feeling like something wasn't right because I've always been very introspective and I've always known what I want to do. And then I could just tell it was like something's coming, something different is going to come, and that's what it's going to be. And I was right.
that's amazing. I like it. That's badass. Just saying. And tell me, as a moving on here a little bit, tell me, as an actor, you often had to inhabit the lives of various characters. So how do you approach stepping into a new role? And also, what techniques do you use to make the character to feel authentic as possible?
I think for me, something I've had to learn is I've been given and have found a lot of different tools. And I think there's an idea that it'll serve you best if you do everything the exact same way every time and have sort of a mathematical process. But I found for me, there's no life in that. So I like to just follow what each individual role is asking of me. Sometimes I do use the same things, but sometimes it's different every time. Like I can think of an example from one of the latest projects I did. I was just sitting down with the rest of the cast, and the cast had a child. I think he was around 6 years old. And I was watching him just scribble doodles of like Garfield or something. And I just remember like feeling so inspired by that I brought out a piece of paper and wrote a letter from the perspective of the childhood of my character. And I even wrote it with like the most scribbliest handwriting, like something that a kid would write. And it was so natural and organic. And I think that really made it have so much life. And I found so much discovery just within that one little thing. So honestly, I like to just see where my impulse goes and do something unique every time.
I love it. Now, can you share a particular moment or memorable, challenging experience in your acting career that impacted you as a performer?
I think the biggest one for me is I went to musical theater college in the midst of the pandemic. We were in person the entire time. We never did Zoom or anything. So we had a lot of mandates. We all had to wear KN95 masks. We had like tape grids on the floor, and we had to like stay in our box, and like we'd have to do dance classes and try to like dance while like staying in like our spaced out boxes, which was crazy. And at the time, I think I felt so grateful just to be doing something and just to be there. But So I was just going with it. I was just doing it. And at the time, it didn't bother me that much until I got out afterwards and I kind of realized how much it did affect me. Of course, it made me extremely resilient as a performer. I did a full musical in a heat wave in a theater with no AC in a KN95 mask. Like, that was crazy. But it just impacted ways in terms of like connection with others. Cause I think I had two of the best friends of my life I met during that time, and we didn't touch each other. We literally, for a full year, did not touch each other. When we were needed comfort, we would give foot hugs where we would just stick out our feet and like hug one person's foot between the other two's because
Okay.
that's all we could do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to me, it kind of just showed how much emotion can be felt without a way to express it.
Hmm. I like it. And tell me, many actors have rituals or even routines, right, to get into character. So what's yours? Do you have any pre-show thing that help you to get into the right mindset?
Breathing. I'm sure any actor will tell you that breathing is one of the most important things you can do. It also depends on the character for me. Music can be very helpful as well. Uh, but I also find that like if I need something that's like a really quick drop in, because sometimes on set it's like, oh, you're not needed. Oh, all of a sudden you are needed. It's like it can be really on the fly. So I found that I tend to come up with these one word thoughts, like, or not one word, but like just one sentence, just really short thoughts that immediately drop me in. It's different for every character. Like it's as simple as tell me what home was like, or I always wanted a sister. And there's things that I found really deep meaning in my work, like leading up to the project, that that line will just keep popping out to me. And then as soon as I just think that in my head and look at my scene partner, I immediately drop in.
Hmm. Okay. And what is your usual process to get out of character? Project's done, good to go. Like, what is your usual thing to kind of disconnect yourself from the character to kind of let the character go and return to be yourself, let's say.
Well, I do know there's a visualization exercise I really like where I love color. Like, I feel like I imagine everything in color. I color code everything in my life. And I find that I tend to associate different characters with different colors. So I like to do this visualization of just feeling that color, like I am that color, but then as I breathe, like that color kind of washing away and fading into just like pure white, like bright light. And I think that that's really helpful. I also have a thank you card because honestly, every character I've ever played, I've learned so much from and has just been such a blessing to have in my life. So I have like a thank you card that I started when I was like 16 and I did my first role ever. And every time I complete any kind of role, I have a little just sort of a sit down with that character and I say, thank you for everything you taught me. And I write the name and date in my card and I let them go.
You're not the first actor who has told me that. Several from what I have interviewed, they do kind of the same thing. They will write like a
Hmm.
thank you letter, and to kind of say goodbye to that, and then just move on. Because I mean, it kind of makes sense that you are gonna play this character for, I don't know, days, weeks, whatever, and even though it sticks with you somehow, so it's understandable that you need kind of this process to kind of get away from that and return to be you. Let's say so.
Hmm.
That's
Definitely.
amazing. And tell me, since you were mentioning colors now, what color would describe your acting career now?
Oh, right now, that's hard. I feel like it would be a little on the nose, but maybe green,
Okay.
like a sort of sagey green. Because I think everything is changing right now. I think that there's a lot of tension, and I think rather than looking at it as something that's dying, I'm trying to look at it as things that are growing. So just kind of like the very first sprouts of growth. So that kind of like very new growth, light green color.
Mm, okay. I like it. And what do you think the 13-year-old version of yourself would think about you right now?
I think that she would be very admiring. I think she would really love how I've cultivated my life and everything I've done. I think she would be kind of cheering me on, if that makes sense. I think she'd be like, more, go further. Um, but I think I've also learned that to be happy where I am. And I would hope that that would get across to her.
There you go. I like it. Now, moving on here a little bit, tell me what has been the most bizarre or even unexpected thing that ever happened to you either on stage or on set?
I feel like I have a couple examples. This one's really random, but I recently was using my phone to film something really quickly because we're like, oh, we don't have a prop. And I was like, oh, I have my phone on me. And when I was taking off the case, I heard a crack and I was like, oh shoot, I broke my case. And then later I went home and realized I had like a perfect crack like directly across my phone screen. So I like broke my phone screen like perfectly in half. That one was funny, but not too bad. Another one I think was back to kind of the pandemic thing. I did a play called Love and Information. A lot of people know it. It's very commonly used in sort of academic settings. And so it's basically a play that's made up of a bunch of different little scenettes. And we had a few people get COVID right before the showing of it. And that was one of my scene partners for one of my scenes, which was probably like my favorite scene. And for everyone, we did like specific rehearsals trying to squeeze in, like, how are we going to do this, having them up on Zoom because we had them on like a big Zoom projector behind us. And then my scene got missed. I don't know how that happened, but I just like, I literally remember I like walked out for this. I'm like, yeah, we're doing this scene. And then I just sat there and I realized, like, oh, we have not done this over Zoom, not once. We've literally have not rehearsed this or figured out what we're going to do, which was actually so much fun. I think it added such an element of like wonder and surprise to it. And I think that that made me feel very calm and certain and grounded in my own ability to just remain calm even when unexpected things happen.
I like it. Yeah, sometimes those unexpected things are the best somehow.
Little
Yeah,
gifts.
yeah. And well, acting can be emotionally demanding. So, how do you maintain a balance between fully immersing yourself in a role, but at the same time taking care of your mental and emotional well-being?
It's really funny to think about what we do as actors sometimes because I almost think it's like stress management as a job. Because as an actor, you basically are firing your nervous system like all day long as your job. And I think you just have to get really good at the normal stress coping mechanisms. So meditation regularly every single morning, whenever I need it, is amazing. I also, again, that sort of white light visualization exercise that helps a lot too, just coming off from a stressful day of just like focusing on my breath and visualizing like a cleansing of sorts. I'm also really into fitness. I find that if I am ever stressed or feeling like emotionally heavy or kind of just not myself, that usually just means I need to go for a run or go to the gym, and that usually always helps me.
Hmm. Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, at the end, you need to make sure that your body, the instrument basically is at 100% or at least is as much as healthy as possible. I mean,
Hmm.
at the end, you need to be, even though, and I can understand that, even though that that what you're acting on the scene is not real, but your body kind of doesn't. So makes sense. So.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. I think a lot of people think that our emotions are more in our head when they're really in our body. It's all about the body.
Totally, totally. And tell me, what do you think that are some of the misconceptions that people have about actors in general?
Oh, there's so many. I think a huge one is that a lot of actors are in this out of a sense of vanity or out of a sense of, I don't know, like wanting to be seen or wanting money. And I honestly think like when I meet other actors, I can just immediately tell that they have like an actor soul and you just can't not do it. Like there's just something about being an actor where it's like it is a way of being. It is not just like a job. Because honestly, as a job, it's horrible. It is such a bad job in so many fundamental ways. So it's really, I think, more so that actors really we can't help but not do it.
Hmm. I like it. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I am discovering more why you're badass. I like it. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. And if you could play any historical figure, fictional character, or you know what? Let's go crazy. Even an animal. Why not? Who or what would it be and why?
I think there's so many options. I feel like there's so many things I want to play. Um, for a historical figure, maybe Marilyn Monroe.
Okay.
I don't think I would be cast as her. I don't think that would make a lot of sense, but I think because I identify as asexual and a lot of her diary entries have now been looked at to see that she very much so most likely was. So I think I would really like to play her in a movie that casts a light on that side of her and how it affected her life. I also have a favorite book series that is for kids, and I love it so much. I have zero shame about this. And there definitely talks about making it into a movie series, and they're the main villain of that series, I think I would play so well. So I've been like manifesting that one specific role because I think it would like perfectly line up. So I'm praying, but it's like an elf thing. I am always like my casting type is just elf, so anything fantasy like that is my favorite.
I like it. Okay. I mean, who knows, right? Maybe, sometimes things happen at the moment when you less expect it, and sky's the limit. We'll see.
Hmm.
That's pretty cool. And actors often have to adapt to different genres and styles of performance. So is there a particular one that you haven't explored yet, but you would love to try anytime in the near future?
I think action. I feel like action is something that's not really produced in more low budget things. It's usually like a very high budget type of production, and I think that I would do really good at it. Like I mentioned, I'm very athletic. I played sports all the time growing up. I took stage combat in college, and that was so much fun. I think that I would have a great deal of fun just doing something that involves like a lot of stunts and a lot of sort of high energy, high impact movement. I think it would be really, really fun.
Hmm. And is there like any dream role that you aspire to play someday?
I feel like it's so overused, but I don't care. It'd probably be Elsa. I look up to Elsa a lot. There's a lot of things about her that I really, really relate to and see myself reflected in as a character. So I think in any way, shape, or form, if I could somehow play Elsa someday, that would be amazing.
Okay, okay. And what about, acting often involves a lot of vulnerability and putting yourself out there. So how do you handle criticism and especially rejection in such a competitive industry?
It's definitely hard. I think for me, what it's come down to is so I love volleyball. It's the sport I've played forever. I was going to go to college for it. I love it so much. And I had something that I'd say to myself all the time when I played volleyball, and that was, you're not playing to win, you're playing to keep playing. And I think that that's exactly how I feel about with acting. I think my love for it and just the fact that I get to do it is more important to me than the sort of affirmations or success or whatever that is that I receive. To me, it's far more important to protect my love of it and my sort of motivation to keep going. That is my number one thing that I will always hold on to because I honestly believe that it is low key a game of who can last the longest. And if you just keep doing it, that's all I need.
Hmm. Okay. I mean, it's challenging, right? Especially, I mean, nobody likes being rejected, right? So, but it's,
Mhm.
but what you say, it's true. I mean, you like it, you love it, it's your passion to it. You know that, there's gonna be ups and downs, but I think that as you take it as part of the experience, it will feel different somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I also jokingly call it like you're collecting like points in a video game. I like to say like, oh, if I collect 50 rejections, I'll get one win. So I kind of think of it as the more rejections I get, the closer I'm getting to a win. And then I kind of like to think that I'm like collecting rejections. And I think that makes it just kind of fun and silly.
Totally, totally. And now that we mentioned that, tell me what has been your funniest audition ever?
Oh gosh. Oh my God. I've done some really crazy ones actually. Um, I think there is just one that I did recently. It was really recent, but it was basically just like motion capture stuff, and there is for miming. And I did an entire scene as a mime, including like literally like slipping on ice. And like originally I just was like planning to just like slip once and get up. And then I just like kept going with it. So there's like a minute and a half video of me just trying to get up from an icy ground and continuously falling over. And that is one of my favorite things because I just was not expecting it. Another funny story that happened because when I was filming a self-tape is it was for Heretic, which just came out in theaters. And long story short, I let out like a really big wail and I was close to the ground. So like my mouth was open. And while I was doing that, my cat like climbed up, put her like paws on my shoulders, and then like stuck her head in my mouth. And I was like, why? Filming with cats is always such a journey. They make it so difficult, but so amusing.
Yeah, I can understand that. Back when I started, I used to have, I used, well, I do have three dogs, right? But one of them back then was a puppy. So during my first interviews, you will see him jumping to the camera or just passing by randomly or just do puppy stuff. And so yeah, I can understand that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's like
they're
I
the
always
best.
tell them it's a good thing they're cute. Yeah, it brings a lot of
Totally,
joy.
totally. And you know what? Let's say that one day I call you and I tell you that I want to become an actor. Now, here's the thing, zero experience. So, based on what you know, where do you think that it would be a good place for me to start?
I think the biggest thing is to find out how you like to act and what you love about it. Because I've done a few different schools of acting, like different philosophies, styles, whatever you want to call it. And there was one that it just didn't feel right to me. And I had a teacher ask, "Do you know where you need to go?" And I said, "Yes, but I'm scared it will make me love acting less." And that was a very vulnerable thing for me to say. But instead of acting surprised, this teacher was more like, yes. And to me, there's no point in doing it unless you love it. So my biggest piece of advice is to try all the different methods, learn from as many people as you can, but follow the love. Follow the love and follow the joy. Because if you go down a path where you lose that, then it's worthless.
Mm,
It doesn't matter how good you are. If you don't love doing it, it's worthless.
I'll take it into consideration. I'll tell you what, if I ever become an actor and if at some point I win something or I write my memoirs, I'll be mentioning you in my thank you speech.
Sounds good.
Sounds like a plan. Now, have you ever thought that if you weren't an actor, what career path do you think you would have pursued and why?
Mm. Yeah, I mentioned this already, but I had a lot of really big loves. I think that's actually part of why I love acting. Is that I feel like with acting, you can experience a lot of different lives and you don't have to just choose one thing to do. You can do everything, and it can be one thing the next day and a totally different thing the next. But I really wanted to be a makeup artist for a very long time. Uh, and I apparently that really shows when I'm on set. A lot of makeup artists have told me that I'm extremely respectful of their work and they can tell like I know how to like move around it and not mess it up. So I think that that's like a little bonus as an actor to make the makeup artist happy. But also doing something with volleyball would have been huge. I probably would have gone to college for volleyball and done something after. Um, but also writing. I've always had a way with words in some ways. That sounds really dramatic, but I love poetry and I love writing and I love stories. I read all the time. And I think if I'm not living the stories, I probably, in the end, would have ended up writing the stories. And maybe I
Hmm.
still will.
Okay. And do you every now and then would you write as a hobby or?
I do. I mostly write poetry as a hobby. Anytime I'm feeling something really intensely, I always just write a poem and I feel so much better about it, just free writing and that sort of thing. I haven't actually like created a story, like a script or a play or anything like that in my free time, but I have a feeling that I will, so I'm not like pushing it. Like when it needs to come, it will come, but I'm not
Mhm.
actively pursuing that right now.
Okay. And now that you mentioned poems, what has been your most either emotional or that you would consider that is the most powerful poem you ever written?
Ooh, I would not know it off the top of my head, but I was In my first year of college, I think I was growing a lot as a person and I went through a lot of sort of emotional shifts. And I wrote this poem. I started it kind of around the beginning of the year and then finished it at the end. And it was not necessarily super long one, but it was crazy because I could like literally see like stanza by stanza at what point I was going through and what my thoughts on the concept and the emotions of it was. So then it just kept shifting. It was really powerful to see it. And I think that was the first poem I wrote where I had zero intention of showing it to anyone. It was so purely for me. Um, and I didn't care about it sounding like too artsy fartsy or anything like that. It was just purely something that I wanted to do. And I just remember when I wrote that poem, I just like put so much of what I was feeling into it that anytime I read it, it just comes out. It was kind of just mostly commentary on kind of where the world was at and just sort of my frustrations with humanity as a whole. So it was very, very interesting to read. Even looking back on it now, it's always very interesting to read.
Okay, so you will be reading it every now and then.
Yes, I do. Yeah. It comes
Interesting.
back to me
Okay.
when I need it, and then I read it, and then I'm like,
Oh,
ah.
interesting. And at this point, do you still write poems?
I do. I do. I do. Um, from everything, like I have like a little notes in my phone, and I'll just randomly jot down ideas when I'm just sitting around. Or if I have something I really want to say to someone, I have written poems for people just to get my feelings across. Uh, just little things like that here and there. It's something that I love to do.
Okay. And what was about the last poem you wrote? Like, what was the topic? Let's say that one.
It was about wanting to walk with someone. It's like it sounds like really deep, but I
Interesting.
love going on walks. And I found that I usually go alone and I love going alone, but I always like look at, families or other people in groups going on really long walks together. And it was basically a poem about wanting to go on a walk with people.
Interesting. And do you prefer walking on? I mean, because it happens, right? But what would you prefer to take walks in the city or perhaps in nature or with the rain or like what is your thing here?
Nature. I love definitely being out in nature. It doesn't have to be like a full major hike, but there's definitely little parks and pockets that I love to go to routinely. I honestly love walking in the rain because usually it's a lot calmer. If I have my umbrella, you can hear the sound of the rain, and I find it really relaxing. I think that it's a way to love the rain as well. I think in a city like this where it rains all the time, a lot of people get really depressed by it, and then they also kind of blame their depression on the rain, not the fact that maybe it's them not going outside because we need to go outside as human beings. And I find that like we, even when it's like quote unquote like bad weather, if we like learn to like embrace it and go outside during it, it's the best way to deal with that kind of seasonal depression is the thing that I found to be the most helpful and wonderful.
Hmm. And walking in the rain often feels like a metaphor for life, right? So what life lessons have you taken away from it?
I think it's oh my gosh, that's crazy. I think it's just about embracing the rain. I think that's what it is. I also think it's something about how life really has like positives and negatives, and you can't have one without the other. I think about that all the time with weather because it's like in the summer, I'm always like, oh my gosh, I want a rainy day. If it's like been like really hot
Hmm.
and like sunny for like weeks straight, I'm like, oh my gosh, if it was just cloudy and rainy for one day, I'd be so happy. And then in the winter, it's the total opposite where I'm like, oh my gosh, one sunny, warm day. And I think it's just to show that we have to miss things in order to appreciate them. So we need the good just as much as the bad. So both live in equality at all times in life.
And is there like a song, poem that perfectly captures how walking in the rain feels for you?
Mm, I'm trying to think. Oh, this is a hard thing to say. There's a song, the only song that's coming to mind is it's an old Avril Lavigne song called Innocence.
Mhm.
Um, And like the words go like waking up to see that everything's okay the first time in my life and it's so great. Slowing down, I look around and I'm so amazed. I think about the little things that make life great. And I think it is just kind of a song about perspective and how living in the moment and finding joy with where you are no matter what's happening is really where
Okay,
the
okay.
point of life, joy lies. Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I do like every now and then when where I live, I have a rainy day. It's like my perfect. It's like my time to just put on some rainy clothes, go out and just walk. And if you get wet,
Hmm.
it's just part of the whole experience. But yeah, there's something about it that feels different. You know what I mean? That feels kind of I don't know how to describe it, like more calm perhaps or more deep to it. I don't know.
Yeah. It makes you feel a lot more sort of internal and reflective.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think there is something about like it's more intentional because I think when you go to walk when it's sunny, sometimes it might be like, oh, I'm just going out to walk because it's sunny. Whereas if you're going on a walk in the rain, that is like a choice. Like you made that choice to go walk in
Hmm.
the rain. Um, yeah, that's really interesting.
Hmm. And how would you describe in a color the feeling that you had when you're walking with the rain?
I think it would be like a misty, purpley, gray, blue. Um, because there is just something very calm about it. And of course, that's kind of the colors of the rain. But I think that there's also a little like feeling of sort of mystery and drama and magic to it. I often associate purple with magic, so I think that little bit of magic sprinkled in there would be really,
Hmm.
it would really show the color of walking in the rain. Yeah.
And do you listen to music sometimes when you're walking on the rain, or not really?
Occasionally. I think if I'm walking to somewhere, I like to listen to music, but if I'm like really in nature, then I prefer to just hear the sounds around me. I actually love if I'm either driving or walking in rain to like go somewhere, I love listening to really old like music. Like Doris Day, she has a song called Perhaps, 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 and that is one of my favorite things to listen to in the rain because I just feel so dramatic and like cozy and old timey. There's something really fun and romantic about it.
I'll take it. I'll take it. And let's say, well, no, basically, if you were stranded on a desert island and could only bring three movies to watch for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Ooh. I feel like it'd have to be a fun movie. I don't think I could do anything too dramatic. Um, Frozen 2 for sure. Um, Frozen 2 is just Frozen to me. I always forget that Frozen 1 exists. I love Frozen 2. Um, Maybe Legally Blonde, something like that, like just like an early 2000s, something really fun. And I love Elle Woods. She's such an icon. And then something really funny too. I mean, they're all kind of funny, but maybe a classic like The Princess Bride. I feel like I could watch that movie over and over
Hmm.
again and find new things every time.
Okay, okay. And what about some of your favorite TV shows?
Ooh, oh my gosh. Okay, the only thing I'm thinking of right now, because it's Christmas and I'm watching it, well, it's almost Christmas season, and I'm watching it, is a show called Dash and Lily, and I'm trying to get everyone to watch it. It's just like a mini series of 8 episodes. But I think it's the kind of like romantic Christmas movie like show, but done in such a like grounded and real and wonderful and fun way. It's honestly so amazing. I love it so much. I'm trying to get everyone to watch it. I love also watching Gilmore Girls. I think that's like my favorite like background show just to like kind of watch throughout like life whenever I just need something comforting. I also really love the show Lockwood and Co. that came out around last year. Because I read the book series as a kid and they were really, really like formative for me, like one of my favorite book series when I was a kid. So the Netflix show that came out for it has been like amazing.
I like it. Okay, okay. And what motivates you? We all have those days that basically we just want to quit. It's inevitable, happens to all of us. So, how you stay positive or rather focused on a day that perhaps in your personal life you're not doing too well, let's say?
Mm. I think the biggest thing is just to know that it's sort of just like I feel like I have such a strong sense of identity. And I think when you have that sense of identity and self, you're kind of able to overcome those feelings because you know that it is just a feeling in the moment and that you know that deep down that's like not who you are. It's like you're able to respect that feeling, you're able to respect that, you're able to be like, I maybe I need a break, maybe I need to slow down, or maybe this is telling me that something is wrong. Because oftentimes when you do have those feelings, it just means that something's wrong. I think we're very quick to jump to the idea that everything is wrong, but usually it's just something is wrong. So I think being able to listen, but also understand that it's not a big deal that you're having those feelings is really helpful.
I'm gonna basically drop this mic because you're killing it here. So
Thanks.
there you go.
Wonderful.
And my last question, so we can all enjoy and relax after an incredible chat here. So here it is. What do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
Oh, I feel like my one piece of advice that's come out of this that's probably the most unique compared to other actors, it would probably be protect your love. Protect your love. Or like prioritize love, work from love, but maybe protect your love. One of those.
Yeah, protect your love. Sounds good. Sounds like a franchise.
There we go. Now a
No,
sequel.
right? There you go. I love it. And you know what? At the end, what can I say? It's amazing what you do. I love it. And it's badass, basically, because we all know that following something you're passionate about tends to be difficult sometimes, it's challenging, whatever, but at the end of the day, it is possible. And I think what I see is that actors in general, besides giving us epic content, TV shows, films, plays, whatever, they're also showing us between the lines that everything is possible. And it doesn't matter where you're from, all of that. If you have a passion for it, you can make it happen, and the fact that you are still out there looking what you want because you love it, as simple and cliche it may sound, you are doing it, and that is impressive. That's badass. And we definitely need more people like you in this world who are showing us that everything's possible, and that are giving us something positive to hope for, especially now in this crazy time. So that's amazing.
No, thank you for that. That's wonderful. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being able to chat about this stuff and share my one perspective of this craft that I love.
There you go. I also want to thank those who stayed the whole episode. Let us know what you think in the comments below, but also on the description, since you already find out why Shan is super badass. Let's follow her. Let's share some love. Let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Shan. And again, thank you for making this happen. Keep shining out there. Keep rocking. Keep doing what you do. Because as I said before, we really need more people like you in this world. So don't you ever stop shining out there. Have an incredible upcoming Christmas, New Year, and I'll be seeing you the next one.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun.
All right.